Hello, good evening, and welcome to our first author event this year. Tonight's event is a little different, as you will know, because our favourite blogger and interviewer is now in the spotlight herself. And we're all really delighted for you, Joy. Well done. Now we have, Joy has set some questions for you, and there are 3 in total because she has given us 3 sets of prizes. So there will be a draw, 1 draw for each question. So there will be 1 winner for each correctly answered question. So what I need you to do, I'm going to tell you the questions now, and then I will put them on the Facebook page so you can have them in writing. And I would like your answers sent in the chat on the Facebook page before 8:15 this evening, and I will draw your names out of a hat for each question, and then we'll announce that at the end of the evening. Okay, so question 1 is, what animal is carved into the Wiltshire Hills? Question 2 is, what town is the county capital of Wiltshire? And question 3 is, how tall is Salisbury Cathedral's spire, including the tower? And I want the answer in metres, please. So I'll put those 3 questions on the Facebook chat for you to have a look at. And if you can send me your answers before 8:15, there will be a draw. We'll do the draw at the end. And I'm trusting you not to cheat, basically. So just.
Do people want to see what they're going to win? Because they might.
Yeah, show us the prizes.
Yeah, do tell us, Joy. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, I mean, that would be useful. So we have a lovely last scene notebook. We have a last scene mug.
Very nice.
Last but not least, there'll be a book which I will sign for you as well, and do personal dedication. And can you be UK only, please, because it's quite expensive to send all those things. We're going to send them abroad. So apologies if you are watching this from another country. I'm afraid it's UK only. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic, thank you, Joy. And now it gives me great pleasure to hand over to tonight's host, Rod Reynolds. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. And good evening to everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome. We're here obviously tonight to celebrate the very, very exciting publication of Joy's first novel, Last Scene. Joy, I'm going to get you to tell us all about it. Just to give you a very quick overview of this evening, what we're going to do, I'm going to talk to Joy about the book and about her writing career for about 30 or 40 minutes. And then we're going to open it up to questions from you guys in the audience. So if you could please pop your questions into the chat on Facebook. And Joy has got an entire team of people working backstage to send those to me, so I'll be able to see them, and I'll be able to pick some of those out and hopefully throw them at Joy. Don't make them too difficult for Joy to answer. And then we will, at the end of the evening, there's actually a little quiz. It's an interactive quiz that you can take part at home. What we're going to do, we've got the covers of 15 famous or well-known crime fiction novels, which have been obscured. The author and the title have been obscured, and we're going to test Joy, see how many she can get, and see if anyone out there who's watching in Facebook land can beat her. But let's get over to Joy. Joy, first of all, congratulations. Cheers. And the first question, I think what we all really want to know is, what is in that cocktail your publisher sent you?
Vodka, as I hope you have very small amount. Some lychee liqueur and lychee and lime juice, and I added just a little bit of lemonade to just bring it down a notch. So I'm not going to drink too much, and I've got some water as well in case I need it. So yeah, so my lovely publisher's bookager and my editor Therese sent over yesterday a bottle of this and 2 cocktail glasses for my launch.
How much is left in the bottle?
I only just opened it. There's quite a lot left in the bottle.
Yeah, you need some more practices, publication day stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Bottle should be, maybe for the quiz, for everyone you get wrong, you'll have to do a shot or something.
Oh, don't.
Show
give me theme tunes, honestly.
Show us the book. It's there behind you.
Right, lovely, yes. Yes, on the screen, it might just suddenly disappear because of my phone might stop screen share. But this is the book. So, yeah, this is the cover, last scene. It was originally, when I wrote it, called Missing, which is a very boring title. And this is a much better title. And a nice picture. And I really, really like the cover.
It's a lovely cover, yeah. And it's a fantastic read. I can attest to that. I've read it in various stages of development. I've been very lucky. And I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy, and it's a fantastic read. It's gripping, it's complex, very, very relatable, very human, and very of the moment. So I definitely recommend that you get out and get a copy. Joy, the first question then obviously is, give us your pitch. What's it about?
Oh, do you know what? I wrote some notes earlier, and the one thing I didn't do was write about the book. So, and
you shouldn't need notes for that. Come on.
I know, but I'm so immersed in book 2 at the moment with edits there and to do a rewrite that I'm just like tunnel visioned on that. So anyway, last scene starts with a child that goes missing from a playground in a fictional village called Otterfield in Wiltshire. And our detective is D.I. Bernadette Noel, or Bernie Noel as I prefer to call her, and she likes to be called as well. She's actually on her way back from her grandfather's funeral in London when she gets the call. So she comes straight in, and she hasn't been a DI for very long. She's only been in Wiltshire for about 6 months as well. She was previously in London. There's sort of a bit of a background story of that, which I'm not going to tell you too much about, because that's going to progress quite a way through the series. And this is her first really big major case. And she's got a 5-year-old child that's gone missing, a lovely little girl called Molly. And of course, everyone's going to help, but they don't. And this is what she doesn't understand, is why in this one particular village of Otterfield are they not helping? And then there's another village down the road who's always so lovely and friendly. They don't seem to want to help either. Everyone else does in the area, because it's near, I'm setting it near Devizes, which is where police headquarters are. Everyone else wants to help, but not the locals. And she really doesn't understand why. And it takes a little while to work out that there is history there, and there is something else going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, the place to start is obviously Bernie. You just told us a little bit about her. For those that don't know, so you've signed a 3-book deal, I think I'm right in saying, and they're all going to be Bernie books.
Yeah.
So you've obviously got this character that you're going to have to do a lot with over the course of 3 books, and hopefully many more.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some words that I've written down that I sort of came to mind when I was thinking about Bernie's character, but why don't you tell us first about where she came from and your inspirations for her as a character?
Yeah. So Bernie, actually last scene isn't technically her first book. So I wrote a book before called Unearthed, which is staying buried this time. So it was a bit of, also again set in Wiltshire with this village called Marchant. And there I had it that this couple from London had bought a house, done it up, went to go into the garden and uncovered a little bit more and unearthed a bit more than they had planned to. There were some bodies in there. And Bernie was one of the police officers that comes in to investigate. But at this point, she's only a DS. It had a completely different setup with her. By the end of this book, it was abundantly clear that she had to be the protagonist, that she was the most interesting character there, and she was really quite cross with me for not making her that. And so that's what I wanted to do. So Bernie herself is dual heritage, so she's mixed race. Her mother is white and her father is black, but she's never known her father because it was a teenage pregnancy, and parents weren't very happy, and so they ushered this boy out. The one thing they did allow was for her, for Bernie to have her father's surname. So she's never known him, and she's grown up really in a white family. And I was really, really conscious about cultural appropriation and diversity and all that sort of thing. And so I spoke to a friend I know who's dual heritage, and I said, and originally I had it the other way around, that her mother was black and she's brought up in this black family. And I had these wonderful grandparents who I absolutely adored, and they were fantastic. And everyone kept saying to me, this doesn't work, she doesn't sound black, it's not right. And I thought, well, the most important thing is it's got to be right. If I'm going to have a character of dual heritage, it's got to be right. You know, I'm not going to do it any other way. So I spoke to my friend and she said, to be honest with you, I don't think I can help because my mother's white and I was basically brought up white. And suddenly everything changed.
Right.
If you make it that the family she grew up in was white and she was brought up white with no black influence at all, then of course she's going to sound white.
Yeah.
So there are, you know, indications where she's going to start finding out a little bit more about her life and stuff. So yeah, so she's growing up in London, been a London girl, joined Met. This is all her backstory sort of thing. Quite young, sort of like 19. So she's been in the Met for a long time already before she starts going into sort of the detective side. But I can't tell you too much because of her backstory, because that's all going to be coming out not so much in book 2. I'm going to make people hold out a little bit longer for book 3 because that's how you keep your readers going.
Why not book 10? Just keep.
Well, yeah, you can't stretch it too long. I don't know if I've really got up to like 3. Well, actually, I've got to 5 books in my head for the moment. So yes, in book 3, you're going to find out quite a bit more. Awesome. So yeah.
I think there's a couple of really brave editorial choices that I think you've made. One of them you touched on, and I'll come to another one in a minute. But just to go back to that point about her being dual heritage, what made you want to sort of tackle that? Because it does make life a little bit harder for the author in the sense of, as you mentioned, not wanting to get it wrong, and wanting to do it justice. What made you decide to do that in the first place?
I think with the very first book, I was thinking it's really important to have diverse characters because I've grown up in London all my life, and I'm now sort of Southwest London, but I grew up in West London. So I had Asian neighbours, Asian friends, Black friends. So for me, you know, I've always lived in such a diverse area that it's never ever been an issue for me. It's just my friends are Asian, you know. And so I really wanted to have a diverse character. And obviously at that point, she wasn't the main character. So it didn't seem as important. But when I suddenly realized, hold on a minute, she's so much more than just this token diverse character. She really is. And I remember sort of writing Unearthed going, this isn't really right. I mean, this isn't working. He is the main person here. So when I decided that originally I was going to go around the village and have different stories for different villages, that was how I was going to work it. But when it became clear that actually she needs to be the main person, at that point I thought, right, I've got to get this right. And I need to be really, so I'm really aware that it's quite controversial to have a white author writing a dual heritage character. I have her as third person, so I'm not writing her as first, which I think makes a slight difference in that I'm not trying to embody her myself kind of thing. But I am aware, really aware of that. But by having her brought up in a white family, that sort of helps a little bit. But it is something I'm really, really conscious about.
Yeah, no, and I think that comes through. I mean, I think it's very, very sensitively and very credibly handled from my reading of it. I was just going to say, don't you love it though when a character comes through like that and either becomes more important than you plan them to be, or kind of insists on being a certain way? It's almost the most natural part of writing, or the most rewarding part of writing, I find, is when someone they kind of force themselves into the manuscript like that. Yeah,
and actually her DS, Carrie Allen, who again I thought, right, that's really important to have diversity. So she's a lesbian, so I've just put her in, and then she has just grown completely. You know, she's vegetarian, she's this tiny woman, but yet she's into martial arts, and suddenly there's a real force behind her.
Yeah.
And I love them as a team. They just work really, really well together. So they've got this really, really, really tall. Bernie's meant to be really tall. I don't know how well that comes across, but she's really tall, and Kerry's really petite. So they just look particularly odd together, but they're just this fantastic team because they've come in around the same sort of time. They've really bonded together.
Yeah, I think Kerry steals almost every scene she's in, and I do want to come on to talk about her. Just to stay on Bernie for a second. So the other editorial choice that you made that I thought was really interesting is as you mentioned, this dynamic of bringing a character in from the outside and into a new place, and particularly bringing them in from somewhere that's so different as London and into sort of semi-rural or rural Wiltshire. it's a dynamic that I've used in the past, and I find it really interesting to write. And I also find it brings its own challenges and its own rewards. What was it that made you want to tackle that in this instance?
I think again, because I was kind of almost doing that with the first book as well, and having this London couple and moved them to Wiltshire. And I really love Wiltshire. We had, unfortunately, our friends have moved now, but we had some friends that lived there for a long time, and we used to regularly stay with them. We're godparents to their children, and they're godparents to our children, so we hang out a lot. And I just really loved it as a place. And when I was thinking I wanted this house to be out of the country for the first book, automatically I thought of Wiltshire. And so I just kept it, really. And I thought, I really love the side of this, and having a fictional village as well helped, I think. But I think, again, that's our idea of, the other thing I really enjoy watching on TV is 999 What's Your Emergency? And I think at the moment it's up in Yorkshire, but they had several series set in Wiltshire, which was just fantastic, because you do get completely different crimes sometimes from London, but then also you get ones very similar. And obviously Wiltshire is the place that's brought us the Novichok poisonings. Also a particularly nasty serial killer, who actually I'm not going to name because I don't think he needs to be named, but he's done some pretty horrible things. And so they do have really big crimes as well. We can't say it's not like London, but it's not like London. It doesn't necessarily happen every day.
Yeah.
So I have this idea that she's used to that really much faster pace. And then she sort of comes here, to Wiltshire, and it's like, oh. So when she does finally get this case, and it's quite a big case, she really wants to prove herself.
Yeah.
But of course, she's then finding it hard to relate to locals. Or at least she thinks she's finding it hard to relate to locals because she can't understand why they don't want to help.
Yeah.
But obviously it's not her, there's something else going on.
I love the way you're just dancing around these spoilers. It's perfect. It's perfect.
I'm trying to be really careful, because sometimes people give reviews and they sort of give away a spoiler, and it's like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah. No, actually, while we've got this platform, don't do that, guys. Please, just don't do that. Don't give away spoilers. Have you been down to Wiltshire for research purposes? So since you, obviously you mentioned you've been there before, but specifically for research, and will you go back?
I will hopefully go back. What I have discovered is it's not necessarily a good idea to take your children on research trips. So my daughter's in the other room going, now. But there was one particularly memorable trip, which we kind of, at this point I was writing the second book in the series as well, which is what I'm currently editing. And so we managed to cover sort of both, looking at places that are kind of up here. I have to be really careful how I say it, because I might be giving away answers to some of the
Come on, don't get paranoid now.
No, but so there are some, so we actually we found headquarters, because that was really important to discover that that's where Bernie would be based, and it's in Devizes, and Devizes isn't quite in the middle of Wiltshire, but it almost is, so it's an ideal place to have your headquarters. But for book 2, which I'm working on now, I wanted to have a bit more of the local area rather than just being fictional. And I had discovered, using Google Earth, a brilliant place to put a body. So we went and found it. And I said to her, look, this is a brilliant lane. We just drive down the lane, and then I think there's a track. And so we were in the car. The kids are quite a bit younger, it's a few years ago now. And this lane was full of potholes. And I had it that there's meant to be motorbike racing on this lane. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a nightmare. And we literally have videos of us driving down this lane and trying to avoid all the potholes and everything. But then we had this fantastic bit of the kids then staying in the car, because we got to the bit where there's a little bridge that goes over the railway. And then we went into this track, and this track is going to feature quite heavily in book 2, so I don't want to say too much. But we met someone walking their dog who told us some local legends, which again are going to appear in book 2, and it was just fantastic. It was really, really good. And there's things like, so there's a baker's that's mentioned in the book, and the baker's is real. It's a real one, and they really have some amazing food in there. So we sampled it, and so there's little things I've tried to pick out not without going too much detail, because obviously then it shows that I don't live there if I don't get it bang on right.
Yeah.
But just enough little details to show that I have been there. I have tried to do some research. I would love to go back and stay for a few days. I think my kids were like, why? It's a small place. And it's like, oh no, I would quite happily go and just hang out again and just absorb the atmosphere. And actually even things like listening to how people speak.
Yeah.
I was, I didn't want to fall into the trap of going too much into the, dialogue, sort of dialect rather. But there was just little phrases that you hear people say. So sometimes, and I got friends as well from Wiltshire, and just sort of say, how would you say something? And they would say, well, we might just miss out a word here or something, and just try and put that in. So yeah, I'll happily go back to Wiltshire and do some more.
Well, I mean, that is good, although I would just caution you that you did say you found a perfect place to bury a body, so you are now #1 suspect for any future murders in the area. So maybe just bear that in mind while you're hanging out in secluded lanes. Just a thought. So I want to talk about Kerry for a minute, if we can. You brought her up already. So Kerry, for anyone who wasn't paying attention, very naughty, is the sidekick, if you like, for want of a better word. I thought one of the strongest elements, one of my favourite elements of the book is, as you say, that dynamic between her and Bernie. There's a very honest relationship, I think, between them. They kind of talk to each other almost like sisters do, or like best friends do. Talk to us about where Kerry came from. And you talked about some of her characteristics and what you wanted to include in her character, but she seemed very real to me, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So I wondered where she came from. Was she based on a real person? Are there elements of real people in there? And also in that relationship that she has with Bernie?
No, she's not based on anyone, actually. And thinking about it, I had to check my notebooks to see when I started writing this book, because someone asked me the other day, I said, about 5 years ago. And I checked and it wasn't. I started writing this in September 2014. Right. And it took almost 2 years to write. And so I think during that time, probably Kerry just emerged. And again, I had this idea of, I suppose, diversity and everything else, and I thought it was really important to have her there. But again, it's just this character. So you start putting in these little things like, she's pretty feisty, but we wanted to get away from the word feisty. We didn't really want to use that word. But I have her that she's from Manchester. I'd say the person Claire Truson, who has done my audio book, must hate me for the amount of accents I've put in this, and there's more to come. So I have her from Manchester, but again, she's sort of come down to Wiltshire, so she's fairly new. And I wanted this, and obviously, normally you wouldn't necessarily have that kind of relationship between a DI and a DS, because obviously the DI is your senior officer, and there's meant to be a little bit of respect there and that sort of thing. Well, that's what I've been told by police officers. Actually, you do call them mum, you do call them sir. But then the senior officer might call you Kerry in return, sort of thing. But I wanted there to be this friendship, so that they were, as obviously as officers, there's that difference in height, but as friends, I really wanted them to be quite close, for them to have bonded as the new girls in town. And it just seemed to happen. I think I don't always have it that these characters just naturally emerge, but Kerry just did. And the dynamic between them just emerged. And I think initially I had an awful lot more humour in the book, and I was told to take some of it out. Because they used to have a lot more banter, and it's like, no, take that out. So, but they do have it that they really click and get on very well. So,
but as I say, I thought that was one of the very best elements of the book that I really enjoyed. I want to come on to talk about the opposite of Kerry, if you like, Jane Clackett. But we had a question in, actually a very, very keen questioner came up with a question before we actually started. So I'm going to throw that one to you now.
Okay.
And I'm going to encourage the rest of you, please do put your questions on the Facebook group, on the Facebook chat, sorry, and we'll come to them in a short while. So this one is from Karen Baker, though, and it's, congratulations, Joy, on your debut novel. Have you enjoyed being in the hot seat?
I think I prefer interviewing. I think I quite like asking the question and just sitting back and listening. So, but no, it's fine, because it's interesting, because as I said to you, it's such a long time since I have, first wrote this. And I think the important thing is to remember is that since writing it, I've then written 3 more novels. So it's, you know, I'm having to really go back and think about it. Although I was editing this just before, well, from September to Christmas. So again, it's really sort of, you know, it's really tying up things and tightening things and making sure we've got things exactly right. But yeah, so sometimes you're making me really think about stuff that I've thought about in ages. So
it's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate to tell you something going to get worse. I mean, it happened to me, one of my very first events, a guy asked me about, I mean, he was really, you know, page 49, you had this one do that to that one. Why did you do that? And it was the same situation as you just described. It was 2 or 3 years since I've written that book. It was 2.5 books down the line.
Yeah.
And the honest truth was I couldn't remember, but you can't say that, obviously.
No.
So I tried to be, I was kind of like, well, you know, there's so many authorial choices you have to make at the time. And I just kind of blabbed on it and think I kind of got away with it, probably didn't. And it was only about an hour after the event had finished and everyone was gone, I suddenly remembered what he was talking about and why I'd done it. And wait, where's that guy? Come back, let me tell
I remembered.
So it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Right, so let's talk about Jane.
Yeah.
You I don't think I can do it justice. You tell the people about Jane, the vampire.
So Jane is overly efficient, shall we say, at her job. And because obviously Bernie's not been there for very long, Jane's been there a bit longer, very organised at her job. And I just like to say that I'm pretty certain that the media relation people at Wiltshire Police are nothing like Jane at all. So she is, best way to describe her, well, I describe her like a vampire, that she's always sort of black and white and she's quite pale and she has very, very straight bobbed dark hair, and the only sort of bit of colour in her is her red lipstick sort of thing. And she basically, things have to be done her way or not at all. And so she's really not impressed with Bernie, who, this is her first sort of really big case, and maybe she's not quite handling the media in quite the correct way that Jane would like her to handle it. It doesn't mean that she's doing it wrong. It's just that it's not the way that Jane wants to, and they just tend to clash. And in particular, Jane puts out some information to the press before Bernie's okayed it to be released. And so they really are not getting on terribly well at all. So I wanted that tension to be there in the station, so not just with, you know, whoever this perpetrator is, but also that there's tension within the workplace and with colleagues.
And what I liked about it is that, again, I don't want to do any spoilers here, but there's just a hint that maybe they are not natural enemies, that there is the potential for thawing relations at some point. And I like the way that kind of imbalance exists in their relationship, if you like, that they don't like each other, and yet you're not quite certain that they're not going to end up at least collaborating, let's say. So I enjoyed that. I want to come on to talk about your journey to publication, because I know, to be honest, your story is quite inspirational. I noticed in your acknowledgements, you said that you've been writing for 20 years. Is that right?
I started about 20 years ago, yeah.
So tell us, first of all, how you came to this point. Talk us, just sum up those 20 years in 40 seconds.
That's a bit tricky. So I used to be a teacher, and then for various different reasons and family stuff that was going on, so my dad died, I stepped back from teaching and wanted to break and wanted to do something different. And I'd always loved writing. I used to love writing as a kid, and at school, you know, I'd end up with a story on the wall and that sort of thing. But I really hadn't done anything in my 20s, and I just thought, you know what, I really would just like to go and do a course. So I actually started September 1999, when I was maybe like 5 or something, but obviously it wasn't. So and I just went to a course at my local leisure centre. It was an adult education bit there, with my lovely writing tutor, Elizabeth Kay. And so I was just doing that, and really it was just kind of short stories to begin with. And she does a bit of everything. So I did some poetry, which I was really not very good at, and radio plays and different things. But I found with the short stories, no matter what theme she gave me, nearly always ended up being a police procedural or crime. And it was like, what is going on here? And I carried on after I had my eldest, and then after my second child, it was just too difficult. There wasn't any time to write during the day. because they didn't both have sleeps at the same time. So I reluctantly stopped and actually didn't go back for 7 years, because I then had a third child, just as I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll go back. So I had a 7-year maternity leave, and I wrote bits and pieces in that time, like short stories, but really nothing much at all. So I went back, I think it was September 2012, when my youngest was in nursery. And I just sort of started, I think actually it was just, again, it was one of the homeworks that was set, and it was to write, I think, a pitch for a book and a prologue. And that's what kicked off the very first novel. And then, so having sort of spent a year writing that, I then thought, actually, I did look at possibly sort of submitting that, but no one was really wanting a ghostly crime crossover at that point. I was about 5 years ahead of my time.
I was going to say, yeah, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's not coming out, but it's staying there. But I then started writing the second one, which is now Last Scene. And obviously, you know, that took a couple of years to do. And during that time, I sort of started on Twitter, really. A friend of mine, Sarah Lothing, said, you've got to go on Twitter if you want to be writing. I started sort of connecting with people on Twitter, and there was something called Brick Crime that Helen Smith had set up, and I was sort of doing things with that. And I even won a Twitter pitch competition on that for the first book. And an agent looked at that and said, not too sure about the ghost. So, okay. And then I just started going to events, and one in particular was First Monday Crime, which is where I met you, and lots of others. And that was then how I started to come into meeting people. And I really have spent the last sort of 5 years connecting with people. And I think that's quite important to do, actually. I think it's really hard to just come straight in out of nowhere with no connections whatsoever. And I think really the cookies helped a lot. Taking cookies to events, certainly it won Rod over. I think he has the record for eating the most cookies in one night. So
I could have eaten more, many more. They're good cookies.
People love the cookies. And I just, and also starting a blog as well, so doing blog tours and all that sort of thing. So Rod, in fact, you were the first author to offer to read my manuscript, and I deliberately didn't ask anybody. I was just going to see if anyone offered, and you did. So you drew the short straw there. So you were the first author to read the original manuscript of this, and you were so helpful, telling me what I'd done wrong, and telling me the things I didn't right as well. You were good at that. So I started to then sort of, edit and everything. I think it was summer 2017, I submitted, had 4 full manuscript requests, and nothing came of it. And so I sort of carried on writing, in the next book. But then I got a professional edit done by a lovely lady called Sarah Starbuck, and that made a huge, huge difference. And I had lots of other people really helping me. So Susie Holiday really helped, Jane Isaac really helped me, Alex Kahn helped as well. So I had lots of input. And so then I thought last year, lockdown, well, let's go for it. The agents are stuck at home. Maybe they want to read something.
The world might come to an end, so I might as well just get this novel out.
Yes, exactly. If I'm going to get a deal, I might as well get it now. So sent out again last spring, and nothing. Nobody wanted it. And I just thought, okay, right. And it's really hard, actually, when you get those rejection emails coming in. It's so difficult. And it takes me a day or so to just wallow and then come back. And in June, so there was what's known as a Pit Mad Twitter pitch. And there's many aimed at the American market, but there are British publishers and editors and agents, actually not so much agents, but editors that look at it. And a friend of ours, Vicky Goldman, had put up to say, this is on. And I thought, you know what? I might as well just risk it. I've done a few Twitter pitches, and people have asked to see the book or the first 2 chapters, but then no further. So this time I put it up thinking, let's just try it. And 5 minutes later, a editor at Bookouture liked it. And I was like, oh, okay. And Bookouture was one of those publishers that I had looked at years ago, when it was completely independent still, before Hachette bought it. I thought, oh, maybe they might be an option one day. So it actually got passed on to a different editor, onto the Therese, who I have now, and she sort of was going, I really love this book. I really love this book. I went, okay. So I sent out to Susan.
That's not the reaction. You can't. You can't. Oh, okay, really? Like you do?
Well,
no.
Go back and said I stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning to finish this. That you go, okay, right, okay.
I mean that's getting there, but you need to work on that. You can't be like surprised.
I know, but I had to, but having had so many objections, you just at the same time, I was also submitting to some more agents, and one of them came back and said, I think I'd like the full manuscript, please. And literally, so that was June, middle of June. By the end of July, I had an agent and a 3-book deal. Or offer. I didn't actually sign the offer till August, but yeah. So having spent years, within 6 weeks, it all changed.
It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. And it's normally, the normal, I say normal, it's changing all the time, but the more common sequence of events is get the agent, do more edits, get the book deal, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's rare to, occasionally people get the deal first and then get an agent. It's rare to get both at the same time. And after so many years, it's incredible how things work out. But I mean, I think that speaks to the quality of the book.
Yeah.
So.
And what was brilliant was my agent's Anne Williams. And what was fantastic was that, because I thought, is she just doing this because there's a deal there? And when we first spoke, I had like a list of questions. She answered every single question before I asked it. And it was that, okay, if this still doesn't happen, this is what we'll do. And this is who I'm going to go to. This is who we're going to submit to. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what you're talking about. And so it's just like, yes, please. So she did the deal. And it's fantastic because I get advice from her and from Therese, and they work pretty well together. So it's great.
That's fantastic. That's the way it should work.
Yeah.
I'm going to, I think we've got about 4 minutes until the competition closes. So I'm just going to remind you guys out there to please get your answers in. Joy, do you want to read the questions again? Have you got them to hand?
I haven't got them to hand, but I've got them in my head.
Got them in your head?
Most things. So number 1, which animal is carved into the Wiltshire Hills? Number 2, what is the capital, the county town, capital town sort of thing of Wiltshire? And number 3, in meters, how tall is the spire at Salisbury Cathedral, including the tower?
Okay, so get those answers in. 3 or 4 minutes left to do that. I'm going to throw some questions at you from the audience.
Okay.
First one is from our very good mutual friend, Steph Broadrib. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Steph.
Another fantastic author out there. Do check out Steph's books if you get the chance. Steph's question is, did you bake yourself some launch cookies, Joy? And I'm going to guess with a 40-person cake that you're going to show us, the answer might be maybe not.
I didn't bake cookies because I really wanted to get a cake with my cover on. So I went to Asda. I'll just advertise. I went to Asda yesterday, and they do printing because I left it too late to sort it out myself and make my own cake. And so I just went. It said, "What size do you want?" I just went, "Oh, large." Just on the computer screen. And I had no idea how big that was. So I take them a slip of paper, said, you need the cake as well. And I thought, well, where's the cake? Well, it's above the machine. And there wasn't any small cakes. There was only large. And I got it off the shelf and went, oh my goodness, it says 40 people. So no, there's no cookies. But we have a lot of cake.
The next question, there's a lot of food questions here. I think the cookies have really made their mark. So the next question is from another top man, top blogger extraordinaire, Dave Graham. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I'm glad you made it back from the dump today. Well played on your day off. Do check out Dave's blog. I think he's Espresso Cocoa. I think I'm right in saying, is that Dave? Yeah. Do check it out. Dave does fantastic reviews on there. He's got 2 questions for you. First is, Joy, where do you find the time to write, and do you aim for a certain word count each day? I'll let you answer that one first.
It's much easier to write. So I think one of the reasons it took me 2 years to write the first book was because for writing class, you're allowed to take in sort of roughly 1,000 to 2,000 words a week. So that's all I wrote a week. So it's quite, and I remember thinking at the time, if if I'm going to do this seriously, I've really got to up my game and write a lot quicker. So now, actually, it's been much harder over lockdown. But because my children are older now and at school, I'm now basically treating this like a job, and I'm working sort of 9 till sort of 3, 4 o'clock, maybe sometimes 5, just depending on how much kids come in and talk to me, which they do regularly. But I now have a little cabin at the end of the garden, which I will be moving into very soon, and I might just lock them out. But so I don't necessarily aim for a word count. I do try and do at least 1 or 2 chapters if I'm writing this. I haven't written for such a long time now. I've been editing, but I do try to aim for that. So that might be roughly 2,000 words a day. I don't write every single day because there are times when I just can't. So I try not to write at weekends. I try and, to keep it like a Monday to Friday thing. So yeah, that's about it.
That's fair. I'm going to let Dave have his second question because I think I know the answer to this one. Can you share your cookie recipe?
Yes.
David.
Yes, because it's not my actual cookie recipe. It's Lorraine Pascal. It's so simple. Look up Lorraine Pascal. She has it as double chocolate chip cookies. I put triple because I put in white chocolate as well. So yeah, it's so easy to make. You could all be making it so that I don't have to, but I do love making it for you.
I feel like you're giving away trade secrets here. I'm going to have to cut you off in a second. I've got a really interesting question here from John Platt. John says, I like the novel a lot. I like the descriptions, the characters, the police are mostly rather nice. And then I watched Line of Duty on the TV and the police are either tortured or downright wicked. Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. Are you writing novels which are an antidote to Line of Duty? I mean, good Lord, that should be your tagline or something, I think. I mean, I think that would sell bucket loads.
So John was in our writing class. So he has been hearing my books for years. So he's been, even before you had heard it, John's been hearing. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because I was writing the other day literally on Facebook about Unforgotten and the absolute difference between that and Line of Duty. And Line of Duty, we really are cooking with gas. That's one of the phrases he says. It's high octane, it's boom, 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 boom. And then you have Unforgotten, that's like a slow cooker. And it just slowly reveals things, but the tension is there, and it's just gentle, it's quieter, but the tension is almost more, actually. I think sometimes I love both of them. So am I writing an antidote? No, I'm trying to keep it a little bit more real. I think we all accept that Line of Duty is really not very real at all, but it's a lot of fun. That idea of Vicky McClure jumping onto that lorry, going over a shot. It was brilliant to watch, but we're all like, that wouldn't happen. So I'm trying to aim for authenticity, but realizing that's not always going to happen because I'm not a police officer.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced it. I can watch as much 999 emergency and 24 hours in police custody, brilliant as well. I watch lots of those programs to just kind of see how, in particular, how they react with each other and interact, as well as how they deal with, sort of people suspects and stuff. And it's always much quieter in an interview room than you think.
Yeah.
So there's always that little bit. It's like when people do courtroom dramas. Courts are actually very slow. They don't shout at you. They do sometimes do that. I put it to you, and it's because I've been a witness, and so I've had to give evidence in court. And you're just like, you always want to laugh at that point and go, no, you're wrong. But it is, everything, it tends to be that, this is where Unforgotten's great, because it's that lower pace and it's probably more realistic than Line of Duty. That's a great question, John. Thank you.
That's a good one, yeah. I feel like also they never capture the form filling. I feel like police are just drowning in paperwork these days.
Yes.
And obviously you can't be showing that on Line of Duty.
Yeah, and also their teams are huge, much bigger. So you don't have like 4 people on a murder case. You'll have 40, but you cannot put that across in. You can't put that in a book.
Can you imagine putting even 5 characters in your book? I mean, your editor would be screaming at you. I mean, just wouldn't be allowed. Yeah. 5 police, detectives. I mean, working on the case.
Well, actually, it's increasing in book 2. Team is building up.
Okay. Lorraine says, congratulations on your book. I'm so pleased for you. I would like to know, are your ideas for your books now getting quicker and easier to think of the more you have written?
So as I said to you, I've got 5 books for Bernie, so 3 are kind of already done, and then I'm only contracted for those 3 at the moment, but I have 2 extra ones that I like to do that which would be a bit different, and I can't say why, but they'll still be Bernie. What I would do after that, I have no idea yet. So whether Bookershire would take on those 2 books, I don't know. What we would do beyond that, I'm almost having ideas. I've got ideas for like a slightly maybe cozy crime-ish sort of thing in Florence, because I went to Florence a few years ago, originally to do some research, but that research has just been slashed for book 2. So I think, well, I might as well put it to good use, and I have got an idea for, you know, something there, but that's just basically an excuse to go back to Florence as well.
Well, that's the best reason for it, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, that's always ideas, and I wrote a standalone last year, 2019 into 2020. It's not particularly good. It needs a lot of work if it's anything's going to happen with it. But again, it's sort of and actually this is where writing class was great, and unfortunately we've had to stop now. But I'd often, you know, we'd get homework ideas, and that would just spark. And that's what you need sometimes, is that one idea that just sparks something. And because I'm more of a pantser than a plotter, that I just need that initial start, and then I just start writing, and then it just goes off into a tangent sometimes, and I have to sort of think about it a bit more. But yeah. So
well, it's obviously, I always think you find your own process, and it's obviously working for you, because, you know, you've been incredibly productive the last years. So I've got one eye on the clock, so I've got 3 more questions here for you, and then we're gonna put you to the test with our little quiz here. So if you guys do want to take part at home, just grab a pen and paper. I'll have that ready in a couple of minutes. Amanda says, "Hi Joy, so happy for you. Why did you decide to write a crime novel?"
As I said to you, with writing class, I just kept finding myself writing crime, and I do read quite a lot of crime, but in fact my tastes have really broadened in that since discovering so many more crime authors. Before that, I was basically reading sort of Colin Dexter, Patricia Cornwell, and Kathy Reichs, and Janet Ivanovich for sort of funny crime, which is because she's hilarious with her Stephanie Plum. But I wasn't really reading that much beyond that. But once I discovered this whole wealth of incredible British crime authors like yourself, that I just, and doing blog tours and that sort of thing, that I sort of just developed more. But I think my love of crime really stems from TV programs, and as a kid, just watching some, and we talk about amazing crime now, but I grew up watching, you know, things like Juliet Bravo and Cagney and Lacey and Hill Street Blues and Columbo and Morse, and I just loved it. I think I don't know if it's just maybe it's the problem to solve, you know, who's done it, you know, and I always want to try and work it out. And sometimes I get it right and sometimes I don't. And with Morse, you always know if you've got 10 minutes to the end and he's got someone, it's like, that's not the right person, is it? And so I think I just really enjoy it. I still really love watching you know, crime programs and reading them. And it's just naturally come out. I've tried writing other things and it just doesn't work. I always end up wanting to kill someone. So
I think almost every crime author I've spoken to started as a crime fiction reader or as you say, TV program fan, or both in most cases. I think if it's what you're drawn to, it's what you enjoy, right? So
yeah.
Vivian says, "Is the cabin up and running now? Is it all painted?" we're getting into niche topics now here, guys.
Hello. So it's as we discovered that it took a week to just do the base coat, because it's wood and it's slats, and you have to cut in every single piece of wood, and it took forever. And there's still another 2 coats to do, and it's like, I feel like to go back to work, and it's like, this isn't happening. And also I've now got this major edit to do with, so suddenly any time has gone. But we're starting to get furniture in there, picking up actually a desk tomorrow. So I'm hoping it might be that even if we haven't finished the painting, I might have to move into there for the Easter holidays, so that because I've been literally here. Where I'm at now is effectively my desk, which is 2 little short shelves across 2 cabinets. So it's not a proper desk or anything, but the cabinets are going to be part of the new desk. So not quite, but nearly there.
We're nearly there. We're nearly there. Okay. I was scared to think how productive you're going to be if you're working 9 till 5 and producing novels at the rate you're going, working on a shelf. I can't begin to think what you're going to do when you're in your own little cabin.
I'm not working this all that time. I keep going onto my phone. Yeah, not always that productive.
Okay, so you're a real writer now. Gotcha. Last question comes from Karen. Karen Cole. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
What comes first for you, characters or plot?
Oh, well, I suppose now, because I've got a series, my characters are, main characters are already set up. So for this, it's really the plot. It's what crime are we going to find? And I think that's the interesting thing. And one of the reasons why I think you can get away with pantsing a police detective series is because they start with a crime. They don't start with a crime with all of the suspects lined up ready for them, ready to be questioned. Well, sometimes they might do, but they go into it having an initial thing, and then they have to start inquiries. And that's great, because you can have, so like with the next book, I had this idea of where this body was going to be, and then we have to start the inquiries. So I think I start with an initial idea and expand out. It's much harder, I think, so the standalone that I've written, I had to come up with plot and new characters, and I really complicated it for myself. I did it in 2 time frames as well. And what happens in 1 year then affects 14 years later, and it's a mystery thing, and it is a bit of a mess, really. So yeah, that did not work terribly well, pantsing it. So I think it really depends on what you're writing.
Yeah, absolutely. But you do realise that you've made life very hard for yourself sometimes, don't you, as an author?
I did keep those to the same narrator for both, because I did think about doing that, because I know some people have more than one narrator with that, and I went, no, that's too complicated. I have tried that already with something else and gave up at 12,000 words. So.
You hate that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try and share my screen now. I should have said before, have you got a pen and paper to hand?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So hopefully this will work. We did test it.
I think I did very good.
It worked before.
Is it 15, you said?
15. So to reiterate what we've got here, and do play along at home, because we all obviously want to get more points than Joy.
Yeah, you're pretty good at this.
So what we've got here, if I can make it work, give me.
Well, that's me.
Okay. That is you. So you can see that. Hopefully everyone at home can see that. And as you can see, so we've got 15 of these. They're all either recent or well-known crime thriller novels. And as you can see, we've obscured, I'm saying we, it was me mucking around, obscured the title and the author. So what I want you to do for all 15, I just want the title and the author, please. It's 1 point for each. Keep track of your scores at home, guys, and by all means chuck your final score at the end in the box, and let's see who knows the most about hidden crime fiction covers. All right, Joy, number 1 is on the screen. Think you got an idea for that one?
I know what the title is, but I can't quite remember the author's name. I think I know the first bit, but it's a surname. It's a bit tricky. I think it's a slightly tricky surname, but yeah.
I'll give you some latitude.
Oh, thank you. All I could say is he was supposed to come to First Monday Crime and then he didn't.
Well, that's unacceptable.
Oh, so you've been kind to me there.
Number 2. I'm glad you instantly recognised that, or there could have been a big falling out.
I would be absolutely killed by someone if I did not get that right.
All right, I'm gonna assume you know that one, then move on swiftly to number 3. I mean, I'd made this too easy.
Oh,
honestly. Too easy.
Yes.
I mean, no pressure, but I got 100% on this, just so you know.
Well, you did it. Well, yeah, I did on the theme tunes as well.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 4.
Oh,
yeah, come on, everyone knows this one. Sold absolute bucket loads.
Oh, maybe it's not who I thought.
Oh, give it away now. Okay, I have to move on. I'm gonna have to hurry you.
Oh, it's not who I thought then. I don't know. Oh. No, it's not. Okay, yeah, I should move on because I'm not too sure about that one. It's not. I don't think it's who I thought it was.
Okay, number 5. This one actually, do you know what? This one is now quite tricky. But what are you gonna do? It shouldn't be, but it kind of is, and that all become clear.
I don't know the title. I can have a hazard a guess at the author.
Okay. Number 6.
I can't even see that.
That's the point.
Literally, I can't.
I'll give you a clue. It's a legal thriller.
Yeah, I know. I can't know what it's. Oh, I'm having real problems with names. I'm getting old, Rod. You see, I'm 50 now, and my brain has just gone. And I know it's the guy from Northern Ireland, and I can picture him as well. But I can't know what the book's called. Or his name. It's completely gone. He does the microphone thingy.
I know the one you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he's not watching.
I don't think he will be.
All right, I'm gonna have to move on. Number 7.
Okay, I think I know who the author is because I recognise the bit down the bottom, but I don't know which one of hers it is. But I know what the first word will be. Okay, I think.
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we're halfway there. Number 8.
Oh,
Yeah, you know it. You know it. Everyone out in Facebook land has just said exactly the same as you. Everyone knows this one.
I don't think she'd forgive me if I got that wrong.
All right.
Okay.
Number 9.
I wonder what one that one is.
It's a mystery.
Is it?
I was tempted to give you bonus points for that one, like double points, but
I heard it's not that good.
I heard it's rubbish. But... Okay, number 10.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, come on. Anyone who gets this wrong, honestly, you have to leave all the crime fiction Facebook groups. You're out.
Biggest selling book, wasn't it?
All right, number 11.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favourite books of the last couple of years.
It's good. It's really creepy.
It's really good. What have we got? 4 more. Number 12.
Hang on. I haven't finished writing that.
Sorry.
Oh. I have really got no idea on that one at all.
No idea?
No. I sort of recognise the tagline. No.
There's another one by the same author that I was going to use, and you would know it absolutely instantly.
Oh,
I did wonder if that would be a clue for this one, because it's very similar in design, just a different colour. But I think that's enough clues for that one. I think we'll move on. Okay.
This is awful. I don't know this one either.
Another big book, quite controversial.
Oh, yeah. I have got it. I haven't read it yet. It's American.
All right, the penultimate one.
I know that one. I know it's the original cover as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll be very relieved that you got that one. I was half hoping you wouldn't recognise it, just because I thought it'd be funny.
I'd have got it from the original cover as well.
Okay, and the last one, number 15.
Oh, I don't know if I got quite right. Okay. Okay, So I'm just thinking back to other ones that I've got on here. I still can't remember his surname. I remember the name of the book, I think, which is number 6. 12, I still have literally no idea. And number 5, I don't know either.
Okay. Sarah has sent me the quiz winners. Can I read them out? Is that okay? Do you want to give the answers, or do you want me to give the answers here?
Oh, I don't mind. It's up to you. You can go for it.
So the answer to question 1 is a horse. That's what's etched into the hills in Wiltshire, I think. And the winner there is Rachel Williams. Congratulations, Rachel. Answer 2 is Trowbridge. Is that the county capital of Wiltshire?
Yeah, it is. Everyone thinks it's Swindon, and we go, no, because Swindon's its own borough in its own right.
And the winner on that one is Dave Graham. Congratulations, Dave. And answer 3, 123 metres, the height of the spire of Salisbury Cathedral. And the winner there is Norman Smith. Congratulations, Norman. And do they need to get in touch with you?
No, so what they need to do is they need to send a direct message to the library, to the Friends of Westmoreland Library. So you're obviously on their page at the moment. At the top, it will probably sort of say that you can send a message. So if you can send that with your address, please, and the dedication for the book, because it might be that you want to give the book to someone else. So just let me know the dedication there, and I will pick that up, and then I will sort that all out.
Fantastic. Okay, let's wrap up. Let's do the answers very quickly. Guys at home, keep your score. Ping it into the Facebook group if you can, if you get a chance, into the chat. Number 1, Joy, what you got?
The Silent Patient, and now his name, I think it's Alex, I want to say Michaelides or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh,
that's not the right one.
That is not the right one. There we go.
Oh, I almost spelt it right. I'm going to give myself 2 marks.
Give yourself 2 points for that, definitely. What have we got for the next one? Number 2.
Oh, Bollywood Wise, Alex Khan.
Of course. What else could it be? Number 3.
I think it's Blood Orange Harriet Tice.
Certainly is. Well done. Number 4.
Now, I don't think I've got this right, because I thought it was The Retreat, Susie Holiday, but I don't think it is.
It's not.
Oh, it's the guest list. It's Lucy Foley. Oh, good grief, yes.
I'm afraid it's the pale imitation of Susie's The Retreat, which is the guest list.
If you put up The Hunting Party, I probably would have got that one.
Well, I mean, the tag is on there. It's, you know,
I know,
enough of a clue.
and that's what was confusing me, because I was thinking, well, Susie's is a remote island. And I was thinking,
no, I couldn't afford the rights to Susie's cover, because that's of course fortune. So I had to go with the cheap one, the guest list.
And number 5, I really wasn't sure. I thought it might be a Lee Child book, but I didn't know the name.
Hang on, I would have also accepted Andrew Child, who of course has taken over the series.
So I get 1.
The Sentinel. Give yourself a point there. Okay, cool. Next one.
Okay, so I think it's 13, and it's Steve, but I can't remember his surname. Is it Steve?
Certainly is.
Kavanagh.
Steve Kavanagh on 13. No, do you know what? Take 2 points for that for sure, because
Okay.
that was a tricky one.
Because I could picture him thinking, what's his surname?
Okay, what have you got next?
No, it's Noelle Holton, who's my publicist as well as a great author. Dead Perfect.
I think I've put this one out of order, haven't I? Yeah, I have. Yeah. So, yes, it is.
Okay.
So apologies for that.
And
I've already given away the next one, but you knew that.
I'll
anyway.
let you go, Bear Macintosh. Yeah.
Outstanding. Next.
Oh, I don't know. It's some guy called Rod Reynolds in Blood Red City, I think.
Certainly is available in all good bookshops now. What's your next one?
Thursday Murder Club, Richard Osman.
Of course, that one was the easiest, even though I hid most of the whole cover.
Yeah.
What you got next?
The Whisper Man, Alex North.
Outstanding. You're absolutely killing this.
Yeah, I'm not for the next one.
Did have Steve Kavanagh's name on there, by the way, just
Oh, no, I didn't know if that. I don't know. I got, oh yeah, and written it off the top.
Okay, what have you got next?
I have nothing. Can you give me a clue?
I'll have to go back to it. What was it? It was
no.
That one.
Yeah.
I don't know what clue I could give you. She's written probably the most famous crime fiction book of the last 25 years. The book that everyone tried to imitate in title and style. It was literally everywhere. And if I said the cover design was similar to that, but in orange.
It's me, Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn. Oh, is it Sharp Objects?
It certainly is, yeah. Well done. There you go.
Do I get it now? Do I get points now?
No, no points for that.
Oh.
Not even one.
So Gone Girl.
No, we did that one, didn't we? Yeah, we did that one. Yeah.
Gone Girl is the, yeah.
Yeah, Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, which for my money was a better book, but that's my
I've not read that one, but I've read Gone Girl.
It's worth your time. What have you got next?
American Dirt, Jeannie Cummins.
Very good. Very good. That was the toughest one, I thought. And the last one?
Was two more.
Certainly is, of course.
Brothers in Blood, yeah. Emma?
Yep. And the last one?
I don't think I've got this quite right. I think it's The Girl at the Window, AJ Finn, or something like that. Oh, The Woman in the Window. Close.
You get that. I mean, that's yeah, outstanding. Fantastic. What did you get? That was like, what, 27 or something?
I think 25.
25?
Yeah, I got 2 wrong. No, and I got one mark for, hang on, I just added that wrong. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 19, 20. No, I got 25.
Very impressive. Very impressive. Well done. Well done. Right, I'm going to stop subjecting you to PowerPoint. I think we've gone way over time, but I'm going to sneak in one last question before we go. What is next for Bernie, basically? I know we've talked a little bit about this, but give us a little taste of what's to come.
Taste of what's to come for book 2. So book 2 starts at this place that I discovered, which actually I couldn't go into because it was private land, but she's basically going to have a murder case to deal with, which is in the next book. And I can't tell you much more than that.
Okay, tight-lipped.
But what I will say is that the lovely Detective Chief Superintendent Wilson is poorly. He's off sick, and so someone else has to come in because as a DI, she's a little bit too low for taking on the full responsibility of her first murder case, sort of thing. As you know, we're there anyway. And so this DCI Worth is someone who, as a name, appears in book 1. He actually appears in book 2.
Okay, so yeah, he is not a popular chap in the force. Yeah. Okay, well, I always enjoy that, the difficult new boss coming in. That's one of my favourite tropes. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Yeah. So thank you very much for being such a good sport.
It's okay. You've done more than that for me in the past, so you know.
Thank you for letting us grill you. Many congratulations. Best of luck with book 2, 3, and all the ones beyond that. And thanks everyone for joining us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, bye-bye.